don't start. Okay. Yeah. So, what is the basis on which the assumptions have been made? I mean, why do I look at these objectives? Again, it's interesting to know. The government has what is called as a medium-term fiscal plan. It's basically a rolling plan. In the sense that for every 4 years, the government makes a medium-term fiscal plan. So, like for this year, you have coming between 0, 9 and 13 to see how the government is going to fare in the next 4 years and accordingly change as per the situation. So, much of this is I have sourced the material from the medium-term fiscal plan. And some of these objectives that I shared here with you are what is seen across the medium-term fiscal plan right from 2000 in the state. And they are extremely laudable kind of objectives. I chose a few of them to suit the kind of development perspective that we are looking at. The first one is smart enforcement through use of information and technology. Most of us know the program on Bhoomi and Memory in Karnataka, the e-governance that we have. And also knowing that the state has such a wonderful manpower in terms of the IT resources that we have, if it can be suitably channelized to help the other sectors in such a kind of a downturn, definitely should help the economy. So that's one key objective. The priority to social sectors and infrastructure upgradation. We see the kind of growth in transport sector around us. Emphasis on decentralized and local solutions for implementation. We have seen that sadly that even though we are one of the most forward-looking states, much of this growth has concentrated in Bangalore. So when we go to the various districts, we still find gaps which we definitely move on beyond that. So the solution lies in going back to the rural areas or to the districts so that there's an equal distribution. And we have a solution in terms of the decentralized solution in terms of our Panchayat Raj institutions, which have been there for more than 20 years now. So that's one. And zero-based budgeting, in the sense that we see that in many of the budgets, because of the great cumbersome accountability pattern, many of the schemes which have outlived their utility continue to be shown in the budget. And because some person has been, we do have dying candidates in the government, in the sense that because of cost cutting and the right sizing the government, much of its employees have been as the post reaches maturation, in the sense that the person retires, that post is no more available. So it has been one way of right sizing it. But the offside is that you also look at what are the schemes that are not required. So for example, in the health department, we have seen examples in many departments, like in health for example, schemes which have allocations made towards night blindness, leprosy, some of these things, which in some districts are really not exist. I mean, that kind of a problem doesn't arise in the districts, but the money has been already allocated to that kind of a scheme in a particular district, and hence the district administration is unable to use the monies available for any other scheme that is more pressing or where people feel that that money can be used. So one of the things would be to relook at our books so that we know as to what are the schemes that can be actually be phased out. That's one. The other one, appropriate staffing and operational expenditure to service the delivery sector. This is, as I say, the right sizing of the government has actually taken its toll in some of the areas where manpower crunch is seriously felt in the government space. And those manpower-rich departments are education, health, water supply, sanitation, where you really need some manpower to run the services. Police, for example, internal security. Interestingly, Karnataka government has asked for a grant this year in 2009-10 from the Wealth Finance Commission for a grant of 350 crore rupees, which has been granted by the Wealth Finance Commission to refurbish its police or the internal security. And that is something which is very crucial to the state today. I mean, it is shocking to see Indian Institute of Science being attacked. I mean, that's something which would have been unthinkable in Bangalore sometime. Or to even think that Vidhan Sabha is now cordoned off with a compound wall. I mean, those were the days when we used to walk down and hear Mali student playing the flute on the steps of Vidhan Sabha. And now when you have a Vidhan Sabha which is cordoned off, it means the government is going away from us. I mean, it's going farther from us. I mean, we are not part of the government anymore. So what kind of a relationship are we talking of? So there is an internal security need which has been addressed and which has been granted. So that is one. And of course,